In the US, like in many places, cars drive on the right side of the road. So we don't even think twice about the fact that the vast majority of trains do the exact same thing. It just seems natural, and with the exception of dispatchers running trains around each other or avoiding obstacles and construction, right-hand running is generally the norm. However, there is one major exception in the US, and the reason for it might surprise you. Let's head to Chicago and get a little taste of life in the left lane. Three Metra lines owned by Union Pacific in the Chicagoland area make up the only left-handed running commuter lines in the United States. Known to Metra commuters as the Union Pacific North Line, the UP Northwest Line, and the UP West Line, all of this trackage was once part of predecessor railroad, the Chicago and Northwestern. We head to Wheaton, Illinois on Metra's Union Pacific West Line to see some of this unique left-hand running in action. But first, why does this exist? The company that originally built the now left-hand running line was the Galena and Chicago Union Railroad. One of the more popular urban myths was that some of the railroad's original investors were British. But in fact, this was not the case. There is some debate, but the most plausible explanation for the left-handed running is something like this. When the Galena and Chicago Union Railroad originally built their single-track line, they placed their commuter passenger stations on the north side of the tracks. This is because most of the homes were located north of the railway, and this prevented large amounts of people from having to cross the tracks, which could be potentially dangerous. Later, when a second track was added, it was built on the south side of the existing line to avoid having to tear down and rebuild every station. And since the stations were mainly used by commuters waiting for their trains in the morning, this meant that the north track would become the inbound side to prevent passengers from having to cross active rail lines. Thus, left-handed running on a double-track line was born. The Galena and Chicago Union later became the Chicago and Northwestern, which in turn, in 1995, became the Union Pacific. Over the years, left-handed running was maintained on all Chicago Northwestern lines and continues to this day with Union Pacific and Metra trains. Wheaton is a great spot with a lot of photography opportunities to see this unique American line in action. Our photographers spent a busy afternoon in Wheaton, Illinois, capturing Metra commuter trains and Union Pacific freights on this left-handed line. We arrive prior to the commuter rush and immediately catch a Union Pacific tank car train inbound to Chicago. The tank cars pass an original Chicago and Northwestern station which is no longer in use by passengers. The building now contains retail, and the Metra station is located in a newer building several yards down the line to the west. One last Union Pacific freight, a coal train, rolls towards Chicago past the Metra station just prior to the evening rush. The first rush hour Metra train arrives, carrying commuters from Chicago. Not long after, another Metra train arrives on the inbound track. Rush hour picks up as another outbound train approaches the station. Seen from the old depot east of the current station, another outbound train rolls into town. Note the original Chicago and Northwestern Depot in the background as rush hour begins to wind down with another outbound train. With the evening rush coming to a close, Union Pacific runs a train of empty coal cars outbound from Chicago. With the sun beginning to set, a Metra train departs Wheaton bound for Chicago. Support Rail Weekly by clicking subscribe for free, or heading over to railweekly.com to check out our online store. Thank you for watching.